Hey guys, First Regardsman here, and today we'll be talking about the upcoming Techmarine class for Space Marine 2, everything we know about its weapon loadout, and some of its perks on top of its potential release date. We will also be going over some of the leaked animations for the Omnisaya axe, and what we can understand about the class's overall playstyle based on all of this, plus all the information the developers have given us directly. Now, Techmarine is probably the most anticipated update for this game, or at least it definitely is for me, and we've actually known that Saber Interactive has planned to add new classes to the game before it even initially launched in September 2024. Techmarine is also confirmed to be a free update to the game like all other gameplay related content so far, and I assume that any other potential classes they decide to add in the future will also be free like this. Now, as far as the actual release date for Techmarine is concerned, Saber has commented already that we will be getting more official reveals on the 29th of January for Techmarine, and a community manager already confirmed that we will not be seeing Techmarine this month, as most of their team was off during the holidays. Now, one of the community managers also said that we will have PTS news before we get an actual release date for patch 12.0. Now, part of this is because Saber doesn't want to disappoint players by giving an official release date in case of delays, but we can also get a general estimate of when Techmarine releases just based on the release of previous patches and the Year 2 roadmap. According to the Year 2 roadmap, patch 12.0 is set to be released in Q1 of this year, including the Techmarine class, Battle Barge expansion, and a new PvE mission, alongside the release of the paid Raven Guard Champion Pack DLC and the Kakarodon's Cosmetic Pack. Patch 13 is also set to release in Q1, though this one could potentially be delayed as prior roadmap releases like the Battle Barge expansion that's coming out in patch 12 were pushed back from Year 1 already, and we're kind of in a tight timing window between patch 12 and patch 13 anyways, so this one could be delayed a little bit. There is also a public test server confirmed for patch 12.0 on the PC version of the game prior to the official launch, which will most likely be released next month in February, and given that the previous public test server for patch 11.0 launched just over a month before the official patch came out November 25th, 2025, we can probably expect a similar thing for patch 12.0. Given this precedent, I think we will probably see Techmarine released in late February at the absolute earliest, and more likely early to mid-March, with late March being the latest potential release date. With all that being said, let's talk about the actual weapon loadouts for this class, what new gameplay mechanics it's bringing, and what we can understand about its general playstyle based on leaked perks, and how it will fit into the current class dynamics. Now, Techmarines and lore are used for on-field repairs of Astartes armored vehicles and other equipment. Space Marine 2 obviously doesn't have any drivable vehicles or mechs in the game, unless you count the NPC-controlled dreadnoughts on maps like Fall of Atreus or the purchased one in Siege mode. Saber's community manager said in response to someone bringing up the lack of vehicles in Space Marine 2 for Techmarine to repair, that it will be bringing something new with the class for this very reason. Now, I don't know why they were being so cheeky about this and not just giving a direct answer, because we already know the Techmarine, independent of its class ability that we will get into later, will be able to repair turrets in operations and siege mode in presumably randomized locations on the map. We also know that these will be called Tarantula Sentry Guns, which are also on the tabletop, and the neat thing about these is that on the tabletop, they come in multiple variations that use plasma, missiles, or bolter rounds, so hopefully we get something like that reflected in-game as well. The Techmarine will also have a direct perk interaction with these sentry guns, not just for himself, but the entire team. One of his leaked perks is called Reinforced Position, that says that you and your teammates will get an unknown percentage damage increase on top of damage reduction against enemy attacks while within a certain proximity of an active sentry gun. I think a perk like this could be a really fun way to push players to base their game plan around these newly added Tarantula turrets. We see similar things with the Bulwark Banner that can grant damage reduction for your entire team with perks like Glory's Shield, and I personally think that is one of the most entertaining perks to play with already, so I'm looking forward to see more stuff built around an actual turret build. The defense and support class archetypes are very popular in horde shooters for a reason, because holding the line against impossible odds really captures that power fantasy that most players are looking for in these games, which is why things like minion builds are so damn enticing. The Tarantula Sentry Guns are also confirmed to have their own ammo count and health bar, so actively fighting around the turrets with a more defensive playstyle is encouraged independent of the previously mentioned team perk, because if you don't, they will just get destroyed. Now, the real question will be how damaging are these turrets compared to your class and teammates' weaponry. A worry some players have brought up is that the damage of the Tarantula turrets will be underwhelming, or they could be too fragile, which would turn them into far more of a gimmick than a properly useful addition on the higher difficulties, especially things like Siege mode, where keeping enemies off your turrets could become very obnoxious. Though if you consider the other AI companions in Space Marine 2, such as the Dreadnought or the purchasable NPC bots in the Siege mode, these guys tend to actually overperform, completely annihilating bosses on their own at times and generally being an incredible addition to your team. I have pretty high hopes for the Sentry bots, and this would really be one of the most unique class-specific inclusions in the game, regardless of whether or not they suck. Now, another one of the biggest questions players have is, what will the Techmarine's playstyle actually be? Will he be more of a range fighter or more of a melee hybrid class? Now, currently, Space Marine 2's other 6 classes are split into the category of melee or range by most of the player base. There is some overlap with things like Vanguard having melee perks on top of a primary weapon, such as the Bolt Carbine or the Melter Rifle, turning him into more of a hybrid class himself, or Sniper's incredibly high single target damage with Tactical Ambush and the Combat Knife, despite his plethora of long-range weapons. Now, currently it seems like Techmarine will fall into more of a hybrid playstyle, and the reason I say that is because his current weapon loadout will include a primary, secondary, and melee weapon, on top of some melee-focused perks. Back in June of 2025, the weapon loadouts for the Techmarine were data mined on the PTS for Siege mode, and they've stayed the same all the way up to patch 11.0's public test server. Now, these are subject to change, but the current primary list is the Bolt Rifle, Heavy Bolt Rifle, Oculus Bolt Carbine, and the Plasma Exterminator, which is most likely just the Plasma Incinerator with a different name in the actual game files. Now, the Bolt Rifle is the big standout to me because not only is this one of the better ranged weapons in the game currently with a ×2 headshot multiplier on the accuracy variant, but it also already has a heroic variant with the Combi Melta version that recently got a base damage buff in patch 11.0. And because of this, it will also have access to the Fabled Grenade Launcher Relic variant that had a previous perk interaction with the ammo regen perk Emperor's Vengeance on Tactical that was so busted, it got hit with a cataclysmic nerf to contain its power level. Now, I am curious to see how well this weapon will perform on Techmarine, because without the ammo economy of the Emperor's Vengeance perk, the Bolt Rifle and Plasma Incinerator will probably run into some serious ammo issues on pretty much all of their useful variants. In the case of the Plasma Incinerator, without Plasma Boost for Tactical, you are also losing a tremendous amount of range damage on top of ammo efficiency. That being said, I am still excited to see this gun on a class beyond the Tactical, since they have been locked to him since launch, and as far as the Heavy Bolt Rifle is concerned, this is also a fan favorite weapon and actually has a pretty strong ammo economy with decent horde clear and CHP recovery that will probably function just fine on this class despite the lack of ammo economy perks, and the Oculus Bolt Carbine has a semi-manageable ammo economy already, as seen on the Vanguard class. Now, the secondary weapon selection is a bit more limited, with the only confirmed secondary weapons for this class currently being the Inferno Pistol and Plasma Pistol. Both of these guns are in a decent to great spot. The Plasma Pistol is one of the best secondary weapons in Space Marine 2 currently, and the Inferno Pistol has great utility for stagger and armor regen. But if these are the only secondary weapons that Techmarine has, then he will be the only class in the entire game that does not have access to the standard bolt pistol or the heavy bolt pistol, and that is pretty shocking. And because of that, I would be very surprised if this list was 100% representative of the guns we can expect on the class, and personally I think at least the standard bolt pistol will be on the Techmarine when it launches, not only because it is a gun that's been on every single class since launch, but also because it will be receiving a champion skin with the Raven Guard pack this patch as well. The heavy bolt pistol is a bit more iffy because this gun was not present on all classes at launch and was later added to every single class in patch 7.0 with the Trigon update. So Techmarine might not get this one, but to be honest, I kind of expect we'll see this one too. Let me know what you guys think about the secondary and primary selections in the comments below, and if you think we'll see the bolt pistol or heavy bolt pistol added to this class at the official launch of Techmarine, or potentially even a grav pistol later down the line, since that is one of the major secondary weapons Primaris Techmarines have on tabletop. Now, the final portion of the weapon loadout is of course the melee weapon selection. Now, so far, the only confirmed melee weapons on Techmarine are the Power Axe that was previously added in patch 10.0 at the anniversary update, and the soon to be added Omniscient Axe, or Omniscient Axe as it is referred to on the tabletop. The Power Axe is currently one of the strongest and most popular melee weapons in Space Marine 2. It has great builds for Gunstrike focused perk loadouts, or the incredibly potent block variant with tremendously damaging power waves that is my personal favorite. One of the Techmarine's leaked perks is also called Arc Cleave, that will boost the damage of your charged melee attacks, similar to the incredible perk Overcharge that is already available on Bulwark and Assault in the current game, so this should boost up your power waves and whirlwind attacks on this for Techmarine as well, which is a great perk option to have. Now, as for the Omniscient Axe, we don't have any info on the Weapon+Perk tree yet, but there is leaked gameplay of its moveset. The weapon seems overall very slow, similar to weapons like the Thunder Hammer, that is subject to change based on the variant, with fencing being faster than block, just like all other weapons. I expect that this will be the final loadout for the melee weapons. Primaris Techmarines on the tabletop usually only come with the Omnisaya Axe, so the addition of the Power Axe was a surprise to me initially, and it's probably part of the reason they waited so long to launch this class, since the Power Axe is a post-launch weapon with unique animations that are pretty time-consuming to make for Saber. But one of the biggest questions people have about the Techmarine currently is how the hell does this thing actually play and fit into the team comps? Well, it seems based off the perks that it is a hybrid class that can perform well in both range and melee combat. We know its primary class ability will be the servo gun, which will be attached or adjacent to your Mechadendrite arms that the Techmarine, among other Adeptus Mechanicus units, are well known for in both video games and the tabletop. You'll also be able to spec into 3 different weapon types for your servo arm gun. The base version of the servo gun will be a bolter variant, and you can change this in your perk tree to more of a sniper variant with the perk precision enhancement, or even an AoE damage inflicting plasma variant with the perk plasma enhancement. Personally, I think this all sounds cool as fuck. I wish more gear perks in this game would fundamentally change your class ability like this. The fact that this class adds so many new mechanics compared to the base game ones gives me a lot of hope for any future classes they add to the game and the overall class design for Space Marine 3. Now, the real question, however, is how strong will the servo gun actually be? The weapon will be AI controlled from the sounds of it, with perks that specifically make it only target Majoris or higher enemies already leaked. This could be really interesting though, because if you can swap it to focus your precision shots on these Majoris, Extremis, or even Terminus enemies, that can fundamentally change your game plan beyond just using a different weapon type, since you can effectively build for Horde Clear Plasma or Extremis sniping using multiple perk options. Now, the Techmarine will also be able to regen armor off of a servo gun kill with the proper perk selection, and considering Techmarines are not using the Phobos light armor that Vanguard and Sniper have, they will almost guaranteed have a base armor of 3, so you could be fairly tanky. Now, even though the leaked perks for this class don't have any health damage reduction, Armor Restore like this is effectively free damage reduction on its own, and this class will also likely have access to the perk Conviction, or at the very least Fortitude in its prestige perk list like most of the other classes do. So a lack of health damage reduction in its base class perk selection really isn't that big of a problem. Now, on top of a servo gun specialization and repairable tarantula turrets on operation maps, a lot of this class's perks revolve around playing with equipment. One of the leaked team perks is called Combat Squad Resupply, which will give you and your teammates presumably 1 additional equipment except for Melt-A-Bombs. This perk sounds okay. I really don't think that limiting Melt-A-Bombs matters that much, unless they are trying to do this because they are afraid of interactions with other equipment perks, such as Consecutive Execution, or more importantly, they are afraid of an interaction with the absolute king of all equipment perks in Space Marine 2, Secure Stockpile, because that many Melt-A-Bombs would solve pretty much any boss encounter in Space Marine 2, outside the most ludicrous siege mode matches, on top of things like being able to basically call Exterminatus on all Extremis and Majoris spawns that accompany the operation bosses. I think equipment-focused gameplay definitely fits the aesthetic of the Techmarine class, but given how good other perks like Secure Stockpile are on Tactical, I feel it'd be hard for him to not be overshadowed in this aspect. Though that is really more of an example of just how powerful a perk like Secure Stockpile actually is in the game currently. Making a damage buff perk or another equipment perk equal to it would be potentially balance shattering if they're used in conjunction, so I'm not surprised they limited this. I'm also suspecting that one day they will probably increase the cooldown Secure Stockpile as well. All that being said, I do believe that the Techmarine will perform very well in operations and hard stratagems upon its release. Hopefully the developers will listen to feedback from the public test server and players get their hands on the class in case anything is underperforming. And as far as siege mode performance is concerned, I think this class could be pretty damn strong. Equipment perks tend to scale up there, and depending on if the tarantula turrets respawn and perform well on their own, he could really help out with high wave pushes. Even if he is a mid-tier class, I don't think it matters all that much because overall class balance in Space Marine 2 is in a pretty good spot right now, and the most important thing about the Techmarine is that it needs to be fun to play and fit the theme of a Primaris Techmarine, or nobody will want to play it in the first place. But that is pretty much everything I want to cover for the Techmarine leaks and information in this video. I will go more in depth on its leaked perk tree sometime in the next week or two. And on the 29th of January, we will have the official community update posted by Saber Interactive that gives us even more reveals about the class. Saber Interactive has also stated that there is something more interesting coming this month than the community update as well, so we'll have to stay tuned for that, since Saber giving us major info outside of their community updates is rare to say the least. And you can also expect the public test server to be launched for patch 12.0 next month, exclusively on the PC version of Space Marine 2. And if you don't have the game on PC and still want to see new Techmarine gameplay, cosmetics, and new class plus heroic weapon builds, I will be streaming all of it on Twitch and YouTube, which you can find here on this channel or in the video description, alongside a link to my community Discord. I also want to say a special thank you to all of my channel members. Your support is greatly appreciated, and thank you all for watching. If you like content like this, subscribe for more, and as always, take it easy, guys. Bye.